Everybody ready? All right, with that, we will start our Selma City Council regular meeting. It's September 18th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the Selma City Council chambers at 1710 Tucker Street in Selma, California, 93662. The teleconference phone number is 301-715-8592 and the webinar ID is 891-6864-5005. When on the phone, if you wish to address the council during the public comment portion of the agenda, press star 9 to raise your hand and we will select you from the meeting queue. Press star 6 to unmute and mute yourself. Tonight we have our invocation led by Pastor Joe Alvarez of the Iglesia Antioquia. Welcome, Pastor, and thanks for choosing us over the Browns versus the Steelers.
I was watching it. I was cheering on Carr. Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we come before you right now, God, to ask you, Heavenly Father, to pour your Holy Spirit upon us, Almighty God, so we can do your work. Give us wisdom, give us knowledge, Heavenly Father, and give us peace, Almighty God. In the name of Jesus Christ, we thank you and we love you with all our hearts. Amen.
Amen. Thank you,
Please
Pastor.
stand
Thank
for the
you.
flag salute. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, could we get the roll call, please, City Clerk?
Councilmember Guerra,
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro. Here. Councilmember Trujillo,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho.
Here.
Mayor Robertson.
Here, potential conflicts of interest. Any council member has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Agenda changes or deletions to better accommodate members of the public or inconvenience in the order of presentation. Items on the agenda may not be presented or acted on in the order listed. Additions to the agenda may be added only pursuant to California Government Code Section 54954.2B. Oral communications. At this time, any member of the public may address the city council regarding any item over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes, and members of the public are asked to direct their comments towards the city council.
Good evening, Shar Tucker representing the Selma Chamber tonight. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Selma PD, Selma Fire, and our Public Works for all of the help that they provided for our car show. Selma PD had 3 officers, off-duty officers that help park cars, and they're really good at that. They did that for July 3rd for us also. And Selma Fire was out there and helped us set up tables and chairs, and then they helped us take them down. We were a little shorthanded on Saturday due to Bob's service, but they were a great help. And of course, our Public Works Department, who always does such a great job with our parks, keeping them neat and clean, and always making sure that we have what we need to make it a good event. So I just wanted to say thank you from the chamber to all of them. And then on another note, the chamber is working with the pastors of the community to put together a mayor's prayer breakfast, which will be held on November 2nd, I believe 7:30 to 9 in the morning, and it will be over at the Portuguese Hall. And our pastors would just like to come together and pray for our mayor, our council, our city leaders, various organizations, our first responders, everyone that works so hard to make Selma a better place. So I hope you'll mark your calendar, November 2nd, and plan to attend. Thank you.
Is there an entry fee for the prayer breakfast?
Yes. If we can make it work at $15 a plate, we are going to do that. And hopefully we can.
Thank you.
Teresa Sala, 1701 Dano Avenue. On Thursday at the special city council meeting, the council voted to cancel our membership with CalPERS health insurance. And many of our retirees were present at that meeting. They were not supportive of that. But it was voted. And my question to the council and to the city manager is, your HR manager said on more than one occasion that she guarantees that those rates will be cheaper than what we're paying with PERS. And she knows that the coverages that she can find will be better than what we have with PERS. So my question is, what are you guys going to do to make sure that that happens? What if she can't find insurance that isn't at a cheaper rate? What if the policies that she finds are not equal to what we have now with PERS? We've left PERS, we cannot go back for 5 years. So what do you propose to do for, at least for the retirees? The employees, you can give them raises, you can change the MOUs that can help them along. But the retirees are on a fixed income. We don't have any other recourse to say, I can pull out $300 out of thin air to pay the difference in my medical insurance or whatever. So I'd like to know if the city proposes to have any guarantees for us that are retirees to help make us whole if this doesn't pan out the way you've told us that it's going to.
Well, this is an agenda item, so we can't really discuss it, Ms. Salas, but as you know, I didn't vote for it.
No,
But
I know.
I know
this-
you're asking
At this
for
point, you
clarification.
say, at this point, it's just oral communication is to bring something forth that's not on the agenda, just to put it out there, to give you guys something to think about, to talk about, to maybe come to a solution that maybe we can discuss it at a future council meeting.
But employee benefits would be the purview of the HR manager. Is that correct, city manager?
Yeah, that would be under my purview. And so Ms. Salas, you're more than welcome to come to City Hall when it works for you, and we can sit down and talk more about that
Okay,
item.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just like to make sure that we keep on, this is public comments and we shouldn't be discussing with the public as any kind of discussion.
Right? That wasn't a discussion. That was a clarification that we wouldn't be having a discussion. Yeah, that was. Anybody else? Anybody online or on the phone? Come on up.
Exercises. I came before about fixing the street on front of the Portuguese Hall, and I would like to thank the public works because when they did something today, they didn't have the right equipment to fix it right. But I would like to thank them, not you guys, because they did it. And another thing is, I believe Navarro represents District 1, where you're coming from Palo 43 and 099. There's a trucking company in there. And then we got some shade club. And when you approach the city, it looks like Tijuana. So who's taking care of that? You know, it's an ugly thing when you come to town. That's the first impression that you get of the city. So I would like you guys to look at that and see what can be done. And another thing is so far some of you members have gotten rid of chief of police, city manager, attorney, and somebody else. So it looks like if the chief of police doesn't play ball, you'll get rid of him. And if the manager doesn't play ball, you get rid of him too. So we want answers and we don't get them, but I'm gonna be coming meeting to find out and get answers from you guys. So I would appreciate you guys were more transparent on what's going on. And that's all I have to say.
Great, thank you.
Mayor, I just had a question to clarify. What was the intersection that he said? It was-
What was the intersection, sir, you were referring to?
You come down to Island 43 and then 99 goes to Florida. Well, in between you got a trucking company. They got some shade cloth. And when you stop at the light, the first thing you see over there is shades all kind of raggedy. And you get the impression of this town, like it looks a little Tijuana, so what's going on, you know? You're supposed to beautify the city and it doesn't look good, you know, you spend,
I don't know about a truck.
Caltrans is spending all that money fixing this from Fowler to Kingsburg. And the first impression you get of our town is It looks like Little Tijuana. You're welcome to go out there on the light for
Mhm.
42 next to one store and look all straight ahead and see what you see. It's not a good sight, so guys should go take a trip and look at what you shown to our city what it looks like. Oh, and one more thing, I don't know if I can say it because I passed my 3 minutes, but I'm out of it, right? I forgot to say one thing, but I'll
Go
bring
for
it
it.
up to somebody else. I'll come bring it up in the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Good to see you again. Thanks for taking an interest in your city government. Anybody else? All right, with that we will bring matter back. We're done with oral communications. We'll move on to our special presentation tonight, which is the Fresno Regional Workforce Development Board and Workforce Connection presentation. It's Diane Jensen. Welcome.
Good evening. So I am here tonight. I'm Diane Jensen. I am the Government Relations Coordinator for the Fresno Regional Workforce Development Board. And with me tonight, we have Fern and Arturo. They are part of our young adult services and they represent the Selma community as well. So what I wanted to do is give you a quick overview of what we do at Workforce Connection, because we feel that you are our partners and that your community will come to you when they need help. And we'd like you to know about us so that you can refer them to us. Next slide, please. So we offer basic career services at all of our what we call one-stop resource centers. Anyone can come in and use these services. They do need to register to use the room and they'll get a little passport card so that they can check in. They can ask for information. We can give referrals to some of our partner agencies. So if they're looking for help, for instance, with the EDD, we have phone lines that go directly to the EDD offices. So they can come in and get assistance with that. We provide copiers and scanners, computers with Microsoft Word that they are welcome to use. All of our computers have internet access. They have access to their emails there, as well as a printer. And then we do also provide labor market resources. So they do not actually have to be a participant in Workforce Connection. They just need to have their passport card. Next slide, please. Now, say they want more help. We offer individualized career training services, which starts with career exploration and preparation. So when they decide they want to be a participant of Workforce Connection, we're going to partner them with what we call an employment readiness specialist. And they will help them identify what they think they, get ideas about what they want to do, what career they want to go into, because we're really about careers, not just jobs. We want to have sustainable income, not where they have to work multiple jobs just to make ends meet. And we offer supportive services along the way. So if they need help with any of our training programs, say they need, like they're from Selma, but the training is in Fresno, if they qualify, we can do mileage reimbursement to assist them with the cost of their gas. And in some of our programs, we also provide childcare assistance. So these are some of the things that we provide at no cost. We offer, and I've given you the list in your packet, 120 approved training programs. If they apply for these programs and are approved, we'll pay 100% of the cost of these scholarships. Some are like our VN programs are up to $15,000. And not only are we covering their tuition, we will cover the cost of their books, their uniforms, anything that they need to get through the program. If they go through, for instance, our Valley Build apprenticeship readiness program and graduate, we'll pay their first union dues. So we really are focused on getting them career ready and doing whatever we can to help them along the way. Once they complete their training program, we do a thing called a transitional job. So, a lot of times you go through school, but everybody wants experience, right? Got to have a year experience or some experience with this or that. But with our transitional jobs, we'll partner with employers and we'll pay the first 200 hours. So we ask them, hire them, give them some additional experience, give them a try, and we'll pay their wages for 200 hours. So say they need a little bit more, or they don't need a transitional job, but the employer is still kind of, oh, I'm not sure. They don't have a lot of experience. We'll partner with on-the-job training where we'll pay a portion of their wages. So we're here to support them until they can kind of take off and fly. We really want to do whatever we can to help them with their careers. So then, okay, they finish the program. Where do they go next? Well, we have a great job placement team. We have talent management specialists who help them go out and find the right job. We also have business outreach coordinators who are working with employers to find out who they need. So our business outreach coordinators work with employers and say, what jobs do you have? And then they go to our talent management specialists and say, who do you have that could do this job? So it's kind of like a matchmaking. And then we offer follow-up services. So we check in with them after 90 days. And then again, after we check at the second quarter, fourth quarter, and then we keep following up until we know they're secure in their job. Next slide. Look, I'm not even turning my pages, I'm behind. So like I said, I gave you a copy of our local eligible training providers. And it's very diverse, from truck driving to vocational nurses to CNA. We've got HVAC, all different organizations and schools that we work with, that if they aren't doing the job, if they're not training people correctly, if they're not getting jobs when they graduate, we remove them from the list. So we try to only have training providers that are training for careers that are relevant. So if it's something that is not relevant in the Valley, then we're not going to offer training for it. Next slide. So of course, I'd love to talk about what we've done in Selma. So from July of 2022, we had 95 residents enroll. 52 of them have completed our program, and 40 of them are employed. So that's almost 77% employed from those who have enrolled. Of course, we'd like to see that number go up. We want to help more people. Next slide, please. So this gives you an idea of where 39% or 39 of the Selma residents got their training and what they had their training in. So it's like I said, you can see it's very diverse where they have trained. And in that year, a little over a year, we have provided $232,000 just for tuition to Selma residents. And again, we would like to be able to offer that to more. So as you, like I said, it's very diverse. So what's exciting, next slide, please. These are where they're working. And if you see them highlighted, you'll see that those are all Selma businesses that are in bold. So thank you, Councilmember Trujillo. I see we have a couple on your staff, so we appreciate the partnership. And it's our partnerships with businesses that help us get people careers. Next slide. So we have achievement awards that we offer every year. And in 2021, our Second Chance Selma Shelter here in Selma was one of our Outstanding Achievement Award winners for their work with our youth program. And I wanted to share a video that we had made. So this is just one example how Selma is helping us help the community with placing our youth. And I'm excited to announce that we'll be producing 2 more videos based on Selma businesses. United Market was just selected as our second quarter business of excellence for supporting our youth program. And then our youth individual who's being recognized, although he's from Parlier, is working at Farney Ford. So we're just excited that Selma is working so much in the community and helping us that we wanted to come and say thank you and then help you share the word for us. Next slide, please. So we have a new location. Our old location used to be in Reedley, which was a little bit far for people to come to. So we are now located in Parlier, right by Starbucks, in case you need a landmark. So we are on Manning and Mendocino. So please come visit us anytime. If you'd like a tour, you've got my card, give me a call. I'd be happy to give you a tour of the facility. But we're very excited about our new building. We also have 2 locations in Fresno, one on West Shaw and one on East Shaw. And then we have a location in Mendota as well. The community is welcome to go to any location. Parlier is just the closest to you. Next slide, please. So we're going to be out in the community. So on September 20th, we will be at Selma High School at their college and career fair. And then on October 19th, we will be here for Assemblymember Aramula's Resource Fair. So if anybody would like to get more information, those are great opportunities to come out and talk to our representatives. Next slide. And again, we are an equal opportunity program. So we will provide any resources that are necessary to accommodate individuals. Next slide. So thank you. We appreciate this opportunity to talk with you about our program and look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Very much. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Jensen?
Hi, Diane.
Hi.
Good to see you here. Thank you so much for the presentation. That was very informative. By any chance, has the EDC reached out to you about the job fairs through the Central Valley Training Center?
No.
Okay, I'll have somebody contact you because we do put on a job fair for the trainees there, and it'd be great to have you out there if you have an opportunity to be there.
Fantastic. We'd love to come.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Do we have anybody from the public with any questions at this time?
Comment.
All right.
Comments?
And
Yeah, I just had a comment. I just wanted to say thank you. And I partner with a different agency, but I like to partner with you guys from Madera. And you know, these internships are really good. I just actually received a letter from one of my interns that he was a high school student, very shy, you know, very quiet. And he was so thankful that, you know, he got to get this experience. And he said that that's going to be something that's, you know, like a core memory, right? He's going to have that memory forever and his first experience. So he was really excited. So I'm glad that you guys do things like this.
thank you. I think that's the best part of the job is when we run into our graduates or
Mhm.
out in the workplace and they tell you how successful they've been. And, you know, like the youth, when they buy their first car and they give you a call, like,
Mhm. Thank
Worked
you.
with Alex and Brian many years, and they really, especially Brian, came out of his shell at the shelter, and it was great training that he received, and really was a good fit with him, and Alex as well. So that worked well. Just a quick question: at the Basic Career Services, is that at any of your locations where they can go?
yes.
Okay.
Once they have one passport card, it will work at all the locations.
And they can get that passport card online by registering?
No, they do have to go into one of the locations.
Okay, great. Good to know.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we will move on to our consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar category are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote. For purposes of discussion, any council member may have an item removed from the consent calendar and made part of the regular agenda. The council can then approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Does council have any items they would like to remove tonight? Okay, is there a motion to approve items A through D?
I'll make a motion
Is there a second? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, our first item tonight is a public hearing. It's a consideration of an approval of submittal number 2021-0009, a request for an annexation pre-zone modification of site plan review number 2006-0008, and adoption of a subsequent environmental impact report addendum pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15164 within the Selma Grove project area.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you is the consideration of the, as the mayor stated, it's the Selma Grove project. Yeah, they're all on. They're on. Next slide. So the proposal is a minor site plan modification, pre-zone and annexation for a previous site plan that has come before the council on multiple occasions. The first site plan came before your council in 2010, and then a subsequent modification to that site plan came in about 2015, 2016, which led to the annexation of approximately 30 acres where the Toyota dealership as well as the Fairfield Inn is being constructed. There's additional property south of there that was annexed to the city, but that is currently undeveloped. This proposed site plan would include development of a portion of that site as well as the annexation of an additional about 29 acres. So the proposal, as the agenda item stated, includes an EIR addendum, which justifies the project in terms of identifying the relation to the environmental impacts as being similar to what was previously analyzed under the prior environmental documentation. So it includes 9 parcels north of Floral Avenue and east of DeWolf Avenue, again, in the unincorporated county. Next slide. So the map shows the previous proposal in 2015, which included the Toyota dealership, which is shown to the north, as well as the hotel site, somewhat southeast of the dealership, as well as the area labeled previous project site as the area that was annexed to the city. The area labeled project site is the additional portion of the project that is proposed to be pre-zoned and annexed and is identified in the proposed site plan modification. Next slide. So the site plan shows the project layout and site plan as currently proposed by the applicant. It includes various anchor buildings, one of which is a movie theater. One clarification, the site plan shows a square footage that is incorrect on the site plan. However, that square footage, which is approximately 570,000 square feet, is correct in the environmental documentation and all the other documentation that's supportive of this project for council's consideration. The access includes 2 driveways off of Floral Avenue. But again, this is directly west of the existing Walmart shopping center and south of the hotel and dealership. Next slide. I'm lagging in my presentation too. So as I stated, in 2010, the city previously certified an EIR for the proposed project, which was considerably larger than the current proposed project. And then in 2016, there was a mitigated negative declaration that revised the project somewhat, that included the annexation of the area that is currently within the city limits, that's inclusive of the dealership and the hotel. This proposal again revises the site plan to a much smaller project than was originally envisioned when it was previously adopted in 2010. The EIR addendum analyzes the reduction in project size and concludes that no new significant impacts are anticipated as part of the project. So this slide kind of summarizes, I don't know why it's the same slide, but it includes a similar description of the CEQA compliance portion of this. The project from a planning standpoint, you know, it has been reduced in size based on market conditions for the applicant. They adjust with the times to propose projects that make sense from a development standpoint, as well as in compliance with the general plan. The environmental review reviews those changes in accordance with CEQA to identify if impacts are similar, more or less. The reduction of the project again justifies the EIR addendum as part of this project. Next slide. How many slides are there? Okay. So as this project was being considered through the entitlement review process, as well as the CEQA process, it went to Planning Commission before being considered by the City Council. At that time, the project was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission with the stipulation that the Planning Commission wanted additional review conducted along the Floral Avenue corridor in that area, given the policy concerns for traffic congestion and other items related to future development. Getting people there, getting people home have been an ongoing issue along Floral Avenue. In consultation with the City Attorney's Office, the recommendation from Planning Commission, although you know it's a policy sticking point, it's something that's been discussed before council on multiple occasions. From a CEQA standpoint, the projects are allowed to proceed based on their fair share contribution for mitigating their impacts. And historically, the city has allowed projects to mitigate their impacts based on fair share payment of development impact fees. Therefore, basing a future decision and holding up a project on something we can't envision what the mitigation would be is what's termed in our field as deferred mitigation, or some sort of deferred requirement, which would be unlawful. And therefore we can't necessarily implement that recommendation from Planning Commission. However, the policy point of Floral Avenue traffic has been heard loud and clear by staff. Staff has engaged traffic consultants to identify operational analysis, which we recently completed with Caltrans, to identify configurations and possible improvements that warrant further discussion with Caltrans at the off-ramp for southbound Floral Avenue off-ramp, as well as the Highland Highway 4399 northbound off-ramp. So staff has also begun implementing some CIP projects for increasing queuing at the eastbound Floral Highland intersection, where we've prepared initial drafts for construction plans in consultation with Caltrans, as well as investigated existing specific plans for future alignments of north-south roadways, extensions of existing streets such as Stillman Avenue. So staff has, again, heard Planning Commission loud and clear. However, from a policy standpoint and from the entitlement standpoint, just holding up a project for something we can't quantify or define, we're not allowed to do. So in this instance, staff has engaged the applicant to discuss mitigating impacts still in a fair share manner, but perhaps receiving credit on their impact fees, but in exchange for physical improvements instead. So rather than pay incremental fees, taking all the fees that they would otherwise be required to pay and finding a project to implement as part of the impact fee program. Next slide. So based on all of that, staff is still recommending approval of the project with adoption of the EIR addendum, as well as the condition of approval identified in the staff report. Available for questions.
Great. Thank you for that. Does council have any questions before we open up this public hearing to the public for the input from the folks here tonight? With that, we will open the public hearing and invite members of the public to come forward. I see we have the developer here. In case anybody would like to come forward, please do so now.
Mr. Mayor, Honorable Council, my name is Cliff Talia, and I'm here on behalf of Selma Development Partners. I want to thank you for staff's cooperation, all the efforts to bring us to this point. It's been a long haul. And we appreciate your consideration this evening. Tonight, available remotely, we have the council, it's Mr. Odell, who did the amended EIR, and Mr. Benavides, who actually conducted the traffic study. So if you have any questions, I know Raina will access them on the screen. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Titalian. Do we have anybody else with any input at this point? Do we have anybody on the phone? Online? Rodell?
Hi, caller, you are muted. Can you hear us okay? Hi, caller, your line is now open. Last three numbers. Caller ending in 897, your line is open. Okay, we'll try the next caller. Thank you. So anyone joining Zoom, if you would raise your virtual hand and we will add you to the meeting queue. To read, your line is open. Hi, Mr. Reed, can you hear us okay? Oh, so he's calling twice.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we
Yep.
can hear you now.
All right, thank you. Appreciate. Apologize for the technical snafu. So as Mr. Keen was talking about, this is a smaller project than had been previously approved. We originally had 94-acre project. It's down to 65 acres, so we're 30 acres less. It's about 30% reduction in the total amount of acreage. And the square footage has been reduced from $973,000 plus, I'm sorry, 973,000 square feet plus a hotel down to 620,000 plus a hotel. So again, another 353,000 reduced area, or about a 36% square foot reduction. The reduction is in order to address market circumstances and also to, we think, better lay out the project to current market preferences. The EIR document went through and evaluated whether the reduction was going to have any new impacts or different impacts, and were previously analyzed and confirmed that they did not. The one thing that was heavily evaluated was the traffic impacts. And in that circumstance, again, we're looking at about a 26% overall total reduction in trips. And in the AM peak, it's about 25% reduction. And the PM peak, it's about a 20% reduction. That traffic study was fairly complicated. It was complicated because circumstances were changing. The site plan was getting tweaked. The timelines were getting tweaked. We had some COVID and some reduced traffic circumstances that we needed to update traffic studies. There was some uncertainties about some of the improvements that would be done at the time frame, including a possible Dinuba Avenue interchange. So that traffic study. Oh, and we were also to address the traffic impacts of the dealership project that had been previously approved but needed to be analyzed. And so that was also analyzed in the same traffic study. So this traffic study confirms the contributions of any traffic impacts to the existing portion of the project that's been completed, in which we previously had committed to provide some mitigations. It analyzes the new project impacts, and it analyzes, like all traffic studies does, not just opening day, but circumstances that the traffic models project out in a couple of different timeframes. And so all of that we tried to summarize in the addendum to the EIR, which lays out the various improvements that would be required opening day that the project would need to do, those that the dealership would have to contribute to, those that would be impacted maybe in a more near term, those that would be impacted in a longer term, and lays out all of the various percentages and contributions and requirements. And we understand that the staff has asked, and we're willing to work with them in taking what might be little pieces of percentages of various project contributions and instead look towards maybe some other completed projects that our financial contributions could go to, as opposed to being deferred to just some of various future projects in smaller pieces. So we look forward to working with the staff to maybe refining some of those things, but we're anxious to move forward with the approval of the amended site plan, the approval and confirmation of what was previously the pre-zone, and the initiation of the annexation of the remainder property that we need for the development of the project. But we think that the CEQA addendum is appropriate, and we believe that the analysis of the traffic impacts and the mitigations will provide the city and the community overall a very good commercial project with all the appropriate amenities provided as the development occurs and the customers show up and the tax dollars flow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Any other callers? Okay, with that, we'll bring the matter back to the public.
If there's no callers, I have a comment on it. My name is Nick Soder, 2511 Logan Street. And good evening, Mayor and council members. I just want to comment is we're doing a 37-acre development just east of this project, and we submitted preliminary plans to the city. And I just want to just consider in the further down in the phases that make sure that these developer leave us enough water lines and the sewer and storm drainage, whatever needs the city should make sure that they look into that too. And we are in the currently process. We had a meeting with the assistant city manager and well as the planning director. And we are processed in submitting a multi-zoning 37-acre parcels with the 98 rooms hotel and well as multi-family housing and a banquet hall, 24,000 square foot. And also the truck stop with the gas station right at the corner of DeWolf and Floral. So I just want to make sure is that this future, the developer should know that. And so make sure that we don't have a problem in the future. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else with any public input at this time? That we will close the public hearing and bring the matter back to the council with a comment from Deputy City Manager King.
I apologize. One thing I left out of my presentation was a correction to condition number 2. So condition number 2 includes a time frame for the expiration of the project to begin. From staff's point of view, the expiration should not begin until the city has some jurisdiction over the project. So the revision to condition number 2 would instead read that the expiration would not be, or the expiration date would not begin or become effective until a certificate of completion has been issued by LAFCO and recorded with the Fresno County Recorder's Office. In addition, the second part of that condition relating to above ground construction would be stricken in its entirety.
And that's LAFCO's annexation approval of the annexation? of
It's
that
not
area?
necessarily their approval date when it's considered by the LAFCO Commission. There's other items that the applicant will need to complete, such as legal description, payment of fees, filing with the State Board of Equalization, as well as recording the legal description with the county recorder after the LAFCO hearing.
How many days is that typically after the?
It can vary depending on the applicant completing the various requirements of LAFCO following the consideration. So it's no different than city council having conditions of approval before we can issue building permits. An applicant's required to comply with LAFCO conditions of approval. They file the appropriate documentation, legal descriptions that meet certain criteria so it can be recorded or at least submitted to the State Board of Equalization for tax purposes. A map that has specific criteria established by LAFCO, and any other fees that need to be paid as part of the project before they will record that certificate of completion and then record it with the county recorder, formally transferring the property from the unincorporated county to the city. So once that document is recorded, the city would then have jurisdiction to approve building permits, grading permits, anything else of that nature. And that's when we would want the effective date of the expiration to begin. It's the recording of a certificate of completion with the county recorder.
Deputy City Manager, can you put that in writing so I can have the attachment? Just your revision, because it's not on here, and that way we can attach it. Thank you.
That's when the deferred improvement clock would start as well. We're talking about all those improvements that are going to be required.
Well, it would be, we would want, typically site plans and entitlements have historically had an expiration to ensure that they don't just sit around, get stale, and the conditions become out of date based on other conditions that go along around it. And it also kind of keeps the developer engaged to work with staff, provide updates and things of that nature. So the expiration is important for the issuance of permits, not necessarily the deferred, because they would be required to do those anyway, but the issuance of building permits, grading permits.
What would the city's role be in terms of sort of directing traffic between other developments that are ongoing with the Selma Grove?
You're talking about adjacent properties and
other
development that's in
development.
process. So we as part of, the various planning of infrastructure, we work with SKF. We've provided information to SKF of future projects that we have. They have various estimates for our existing land uses. So commercial is already considered in their master plans. So as projects come online, sewer is already considered. We work with Cal Water for the extension of water lines. So we're aware of improvements that need to be made to upstream facilities and upgrades to accommodate existing development, as well as the traffic situation as other projects come in. We're required to ensure that their traffic studies take into consideration projects that have been filed and an application has been deemed complete with the city. So any project that was not on the books at the time that this project was deemed complete was not considered in their traffic study, but we do take into account going forward projects that have been approved but haven't been built.
So let's say one project requires an additional SKF permit based on, sewer issues, and both projects require additional capacity. Who pays the fees for that?
Typically, there would be either a payment and impact fees for their fair share contribution, and then those impact fees would go to the improvement, or they would receive credit and then they would be reimbursed either through the city or through the future payment of impact fees by the subsequent development that comes in behind them.
And it sounds like in this case, instead of the fees, there might be just actual physical improvements to be required.
Correct. Staff has reviewed what has historically been done in terms of mitigating fair share impacts. And we feel working with the developers to actually get physical improvements would ensure that things get built in a timely manner rather than collecting fees. And then we have to go out to bid. We have to, ensure that we have appropriate budget in future years. If we can work with the developers to present physical improvements at the time of their project coming in and give them credit on their impact fees, we're ensuring things are getting built and they're not in an incremental fashion. So that's what we're trying to encourage developers to do, because then they don't have to pay fees. They don't have to hold that on their books. And then the city isn't required to then go back and put in improvements after the fact.
Got you. So the city, the process would be the developer would put in the infrastructure instead of the city collecting fees for that infrastructure and putting it in after the fact.
Correct. So let's say cumulatively, this project has to, and I'm just throwing a number out there, pay $1 million in impact fees for just traffic. If they went out and did an improvement for $800,000, they would get an $800,000 credit and only have to pay $200,000.
Like widening Stillman or something like that.
Yeah.
Something extending roadways, contributing to travel lanes, what have you. As long as it's within the impact fee program, we can give them credit. Or if we amend the impact fee program, we can give them credit for other improvements that appear in the program. Getting those improvements as part of a negotiation just ensures that they get built.
Got it. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, that we will, that's it. Council's commented on it. Is there a motion to approve submittal number 2021-009?
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
One second, we've got
Oh, with the
Yes.
amended.
with the amended
conditions.
condition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. All right, with that, we will move on from our public hearing to our future agenda items. I'm going to actually remember that tonight. And do we have any future agenda items from council that council members would like to see?
I just want to see if maybe possibly we can cancel November 20th meeting. Look and see. That's a possibility.
We'll have that on the next agenda.
I was wondering if we could get a recognition for Coach Nick Quintana, longtime Selma wrestling coach.
Any specific meeting date, Mayor, for that recognition?
Just probably, as soon as possible,
Okay,
whenever we can get it on there.
sounds good.
Thank you. Okay, and in the future, could we ask PG&E to come talk to us about grids? That doesn't have to be the next meeting or whenever they're around. Anybody else? Okay, with that, we'll move on to our first item of regular business. This is the Selma Downtown Business Improvement District update.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Shar Tucker, representing the Business Improvement District Advisory Board update tonight. And on the screen, you will see some of the highlights of my update that will help you kind of follow along what I'm saying. I would like to tell you, introduce our board members. I have the honor of serving as the chair currently. Harold Phillips from Martin's Jewelers is our vice chair. Stuart Skoglund from Cal Water is our secretary and is in the audience tonight. Mike Valverde from Valverde Tile is our treasurer. And Parminder Singh from London Properties is our communication liaison. Currently, we have 2 seats that are vacant on the board and hope to fill those soon. Our mission statement, the BID is to create a vibrant and inviting downtown through the promotion of businesses and beautification to enrich the heart of Selma. And our downtown should be the heart of Selma. It's where our residents come to dine and shop and attend plays and events. So our goal is to make that a more inviting atmosphere for them. Our goals are to use social media platforms to highlight downtown services and products, foster active participation from business owners, as well as enhance the visual appeal of downtown. We are getting ready to do a field trip to Visalia to talk to one of the members of their BID board to see what worked for them, what didn't work, how their businesses feel about their bid, and kind of get an idea of that might help us along with ours. Social media. We have interviewed one company a couple of weeks ago, and we are interviewing another one on Wednesday, and we hope to get that in place. We are wanting to get social media out there, as well as Instagram and whatever other platforms are out there that will help bring attention to our BID, as well as help our businesses be able to do interviews, promote their maybe sales or events that they are doing. We're also hoping that, let's just say maybe they have a big sale going on and we put that out on social media. We're hoping that we'll be able to go back a few weeks after that and maybe get some positive input from them, which will hopefully foster other businesses wanting to do interviews on social media. And we've talked about ways to enhance community engagement. We plan to do a meet and greet, or I guess maybe a town hall meeting quarterly to get feedback from our businesses and be able to answer questions about how our bid is coming along. But it's really important to us to get feedback from them because this is all about them. So we're hoping that that will help. Signage and wayfinding. We are hoping to develop some clear and appealing signage and wayfinding systems to help direct visitors that are in our community to where restaurants are, boutiques, florists. You know, they may be here to get their taxes done or to purchase insurance. But when they're finished with that, we're hoping maybe they'll dine out in Selma or shop. And that will help increase the traffic to downtown. Our board is committed to speaking to our businesses, answering questions, and helping them feel comfortable with what our bid does. We also had a great update a couple of weeks ago from our city engineer, David Horn. He was kind enough to come and talk to us about the ADA project that's going on downtown so that we have a clearer understanding and can be able to help businesses understand what's going on. But we really have not had any negative comments, which would normally probably come to the chamber or to the city. But I think they've done, the contractors have done a great job in keeping the streets open and helping keep parking free in front of the businesses. So by the time we come and do our next update to you, we are hoping that our social media presence will be in play and that we have been able to do a meet and greet and that we have some feedback from our businesses downtown. So that is our update. If you have questions, I will be happy to try to answer them for you.
Thanks for your presentation, Shar. Very, very good.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Tucker? Do we have anybody from the public? Anybody on the phone or online like to talk about the bid? Great. With that, we'll bring the matter back to council. Council members have any items to talk about on the bid?
The only thing I hadn't really driven downtown until today, and I missed the trees. That's the only thing that I see, that there's no trees. But I know that at the end, I can see that it's gonna be something that's gonna be really beautiful. And, but I think somebody mentioned last time that now you can kind of see the buildings that they need paint, they need things, but I know that you guys will do a good job with that. So thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
And I just like to mention, I know I've received calls and same thing that Councilmember Navarro stated in regards to the trees. And I did get some information from Jerry Howell that was out there walking around. And he said there are going to put more trees, but they're not going to be mature. They're probably going to be a little bit smaller, more like shrubs possibly. But I know we got some calls in regards to parents that are very concerned about their kids going to the art center now that's very dark, and the parents that walk around because their kids are at dance practice or the folclore practicing. The parents would walk around. Now there's no more lights. And I know we talked about that just a little bit, what we're going to do, but I just saw this one area which really looked really nice, and I did take a photo of it, but they did lights like this from building to building instead of tree to tree. You know how we said that was a prop? And I thought that looked really nice. Thought maybe that is something that we could consider, is just putting the lights, since our buildings are pretty high. I don't know if we could do it throughout the whole, but I think through Second Street and through High Street, the way we did it looks really nice. Maybe something that we can consider. And I think it wouldn't interfere even with, if the parade goes through with, it wouldn't interfere because our buildings are so high. I mean, just something. I thought that looked really pretty. I mean, it looks really nice. Maybe we can consider something like that. I did take a photo, but like I said, I didn't have enough to pat, I left them on my desk. Sorry about that. But it's just something that maybe we can become a little creative and still do something so it looks nice. Because I'll tell you, people coming from other cities, I mean, gave so many compliments how nice it looked, and we don't want to take that away. It was so inviting, and we're trying to do everything we can to get businesses here, especially, to lively up our downtown with more restaurants, because that's what we get. I mean, we get building owners that said, Sarah, bring us a restaurant and I'll open my place. They can have my office. There's things like that we get all the time, and I know Parminder has mentioned, if we can get some businesses, I'm willing to he's going to have a couple of areas that are open next to us. So he'd like to see more restaurants or some kind of, food things, so that way people can come down to our downtown. So just thought, I'd mention it and see if it's something that we could work with. That's it.
Councilmember Guerra, I can work with Bid Advisory Board and Alicia, our Economic Development Manager, to discuss with the property owners downtown, because we would need permission from them to hang
Sure.
the lights, but I think that's probably something we can work on.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
Sounds great. I would definitely agree with that. I would second that big time. The lighting made it more inviting. It made it safer. It made it a better downtown. So I'm all for changing out that unsafe pavement, putting in the new trees. But if we can bring the lights in like that and string it from building to building, that would look amazing. I think somebody mentioned they were in Europe last week. They do that in Europe a lot, and it looks really very nice. That cafe feel, some speakers downtown that I know the city's working on will be nice in the future. And I'm excited about the bid. It's been a long time coming, and it's really great news. Thank you for that. Thank you for all your work and your service on that. I think it really came through with all the work that was happening this week and last week. They went to the bid and people seem to know about it. Shop owners seem to know, because in the past, there would have been seems to me there would have been a lot more complaints on that just didn't happen. You had Jerry Howell going business to business, who knew everybody from the past, and then you had the bid that had talked to people about it. So I think it's a great kind of communication system, as well as a marketing tool, as well as just a way for people to get into Selma and to feel more at home in Selma and to put their roots here and to get more of the businesses and the people that we want, you know, to encourage the entrepreneurs, because it's taking the power from the city. Here you go, here's what you have to do, and it's putting it back in our hands, the people, of what we want to do, you know, as entrepreneurs and as business owners. And I think the bid does that, and it allows us some latitude as downtown business owners. And I know I'm working with some of the business owners that in the past have said, no way, I'm not going to work with the city. No way. You know, I've tried it before. It's been Lucy holding the football and the football gets pulled every time. No. The football's going to stay this time, you know, with the bid. So I'm definitely getting the word out there, and let's hope we can move this forward and make people feel comfortable and take part in this and be a part of the bid. Any comments? All right. And that was an update and a discussion item. I don't think that is a vote. So with it, we can either take a vote or we can keep rolling. What would council like to do? I'm sorry, take a break or, okay, we'll keep rolling. Item number 3 is discussion and direction regarding adoption of council member term limits.
Yes, so this item was requested.
Really well.
This item was requested by Mayor Pro Tem Cho at a previous meeting, and kind of just to let council know what the requirements would be if you wanted to set term limits. And so there is a government code section that specifically sets the rules for adopting term limits. There are some other cities in California that have term limits for their council members as well. So the council could choose to limit the number of terms a member of the city council may serve, or the number of terms of an elected mayor, or both. And any proposal to limit the number of terms has to go to the voters. So you guys as a council are not the only body that could propose term limits. The voters could also bring, you know, an initiative as well. But if you guys decided that you wanted to move forward with term limits, it would be a ballot measure essentially, and it would have to be approved by a majority of the votes cast. The important thing to note about it is that it is not retroactive. So, Mayor, I'm just going to use you as an example because you've been on the council the longest. You've been on here for what, 10 years? Yeah, so
11.
10. Well, okay, so let's say they set the term limits at 11. You wouldn't at the next election be out because it's not retroactive. So the term limit clock would start at your first election after the term limits are established. So and then same with the rest of the council members. If we set it at 4 years, you know, you wouldn't be out at the next election. You would be out 4 years after. So those are kind of really the only parameters that are set by the government code. You guys would have to, similar to any other ballot measure that you guys would bring, you guys would have to, you know, bring forth a resolution with a public hearing that you would approve. And you guys would have to, it would be basically an ordinance that would be approved by the voters, and you would have to set the number of years and what those parameters would be. And then it would go to the election in whatever election you guys would prefer. It cannot be a special election, but it has to go to a regular election. So it would essentially go November of next year. I think you guys technically could go to the primary in March, but if that's what you guys wanted to do, but I think November, if you guys actually did want to proceed, November is obviously going to be the most cost effective because you guys will already be holding an election in November regardless. So if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Thanks for that presentation.
I just have a real quick question. You said it would be more cost effective to do it in November of 2024. I mean, with the major election, because we're already going to elections? Okay. Have an idea of what that cost would be, more or less? Or you can bring it back, that's fine.
We can probably refer to the last time the city had items on the ballot when we went to districts and at-large mayor. And that will give us a good ballpark, and we can bring that back with the next staff report. Any other questions?
So if I can understand you correctly, the layman's terms would be that the council votes something and then they still have to put it out to the voter. And if the voter wants it, they want it. They don't get it. But we initiate it and then the voters vote on it, on that election.
Correct.
That's,
How specific does it have to be? Can it just say, yes, we want term limits, or does it have to actually say council limits would be this number of terms and mayor limits would be this number of terms?
It would be specific. So similar to like if you're enacting like a ballot measure for some sort of tax, you guys would submit a specific ordinance to the voters that would go into the municipal code if it were approved by the voters. So the ordinance would say, every council member has a 4-year term limit or a 6-year, 10-year term limit. And it would be a specific ordinance that they would approve. So it wouldn't be just like a blank check. You're allowed to adopt term limits. It would have to be specific. And if you guys wanted to amend those term limits ever, it would have to go back to the voters.
Got it.
Okay, so if I'm correct, Megan, tonight we're just voting to go if it passes term. But, or are we asking to be specific, like they have to be 2 terms?
I mean, it's up to you guys ultimately, but we just need direction on how you would like to proceed, if at all. And so part of that would be proposing some terms, because I mean, if you want us to proceed and draft a resolution for term limits to go on the ballot, we would need to know what you want those term limits to be. So, I mean, you guys don't have to make a decision tonight. You guys obviously have some time, but if you guys do want us to proceed with them, we do need some direction on what those term limits would look like.
I would like to say, I already thought about it, and basically what I would propose would be council people 2 terms and then 2 terms off. For the mayor, 2 terms and also 2 terms off. That's my suggestion. So I say up to everybody else if they want to go with that, or before we go to election is what I'm proposing.
Okay, by off, what do you mean by off?
I mean, what do you mean? 2 years, but you have 2 terms and then you're off 2 terms before you could come back again.
What if you're a council member for 2 terms and then you're,
2 terms off.
can you be mayor for 2 terms right after that? Or do you have to be off after you do 2 terms on the council?
So if you're mayor, you're off and you want to be a council person?
Let's say
Is that
you're a
what you said?
council member, get your experience, and then you want to run for mayor, and then you go for 2 terms.
Mhm.
You have to be off of, does it qualify to run for mayor? Is
Well,
being off
I-
if you
I-
go for mayor after council?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, I think that's what we're discussing, is that, I mean, right now, it just needs, I believe she just needs direction. Our attorney just needs direction as to, to explore it. But Mayor Pro Tem is suggesting that it would be, council member would have 2 terms, and then they could potentially go another 2 terms for mayor and another 2, right? And then, or I mean, we could write it however it needs to be.
Because you're never
So,
off, right?
uh,
You're
No, so-
never off
no,
if
no,
you
no.
keep going
So-
back and forth.
So look, I can address that. Because you guys have an elected mayor and then you have your council persons, those essentially have to be kept separate. Your guys' municipal code is specifically established as an elected mayor. So an elected mayor would have their own term limits from your council persons.
So it makes, so what, I think what Mayor Pro Tem, from what I understand, you're stating for city council members, 2 terms on, which is 8 years, 2 terms off, which is 8 years. and then they could come back and run for city council. And because of the fact that the law stipulates the mayorship is a totally different, we're not
Yes.
talking about that. We're talking,
Right.
and what she's proposing is the mayor takes 2 terms on and takes 2 terms off.
Right.
Those are the only specifics that she's
Things-
speaking
that's right.
because they're 2 separate entities, and that's the way we would work it, correct?
That's correct.
Would that be, is
Does
that?
that defeat the purpose? 'Cause
I'm
then
just,
if
I'm
you're-
just repeating what, I'm just saying,
Just
I
wondering
understand
if the
what,
spirit of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Are you good? Councilman Trejo, are you done?
so that, I was just stating that if Mayor Pro Tem, is that that's what you're correctly saying, right? 2 terms for city council, 2 terms off, 2 terms for the mayor and 2 terms off. That's the question I have for you. That's what you want, or that's what you're proposing?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yes, I'm done.
Thank you. My question was, okay, the spirit of this is, what's the meaning or purpose or gestalt behind this is that someone shouldn't be on the council or the mayor forever. You know, it moves it around. So if you do 2 terms as council member and then off, and there's a barrier between the 2, then conceivably you could just go back and forth between the council and the mayor and the council and the mayor indefinitely. Is that correct? Is that what your intent is?
Yeah, you keep it separate.
I don't think that's what the intent is, and I understand your point. And so, I mean, I can look into whether we could put some type of stipulation in there that if you've served as mayor and you've served your term limits as mayor, you cannot then apply for council person during those 2 years off. And I'll look and see if that's legally enforceable. I'm not sure at this time if that is, but you bring up a very good point.
Got it.
And
So Megan, so
It
right
is
now, what
well
we're
noted.
looking for is a consensus vote that we do want to give direction to the city staff to proceed or not proceed. Is that what you're looking for?
yes, if that's how you want to proceed, yes.
Could I just add one more
Yeah.
thing before we open up the public? I think we have someone who'd like to make a comment. One more thing. Can we make this apply to commissions? Because we got commissioners that have served forever and ever and ever, and a lot of them they run and they don't get elected and they serve on these commissions and they have a lot of juice, I mean, which is a good thing. And I honor everybody's commitments, but I would just like with term limits, why wouldn't it apply to people on commissions as well who make
But-
some pretty important decisions?
You wouldn't need to go to the ballot for that because they're not elected positions, they're appointed.
Hmm.
So you guys could set by your own ordinance.
I'm
That-
sorry to interrupt you, but what's the sense in doing that when the actual majority of the council at that different term is the one that appoints it? So if you go back and look at the people that I've been on the boards, they're actually appointed by whatever majority feels that the direction of the community wants to go. Because in reality, when you get a majority of council, they're setting the tone of the actual city future development. And by what they're doing is they're electing people that will go and elect to go towards that term of the community, how they want to grow their community. So I don't think, my own opinion, I don't think that we go that far. I do understand you see people that are on committees, but I think that the council has jurisdiction to direct. If you see a member that's been on and that's a really good point, because if you see a member that's been on a board, well, then we don't vote for them.
And does being off mean you can't be on a commission either? Like if you're off of the
That's
council and you're
totally
off of the
different.
mayor?
Yeah, that's too different.
Correct, that would be different. I mean, you guys could put that in your ordinance if you wanted to, but no, that,
And the commissions are terms of 2 and 4 years, so that's just the thing. So sometimes it doesn't quite track with the majorities, and sometimes the commissions can be out of step with the city and the city council. Yeah. Well, with the plans for the future, the conception of the current city council. Okay, do we have any comments from the public? Anybody like to make at this time? Please come up.
Terms for the council and the mayor.
Yeah.
I don't know what the current terms are that you serve, but you want to double it? Is that what you're saying?
There are no term limits right now.
Why not, not so many minutes? Okay, so some of your up for election next November, right? Next year? And then in 2026, you got two others after the election. So what if we don't want to have you guys in the council or mayor and you're not doing a good job? Like you replace the chief of police, you replace the city manager. We got a right to replace you guys. And what are your terms that you want to be there permanent, your 8 years, or what is it that you want to do, that you're proposing? Can I have an answer to that?
I mean, did you want to address that, City Manager?
But no, I think the discussion, Mr. Chairez, is the council is discussing whether to implement term limits, which would limit how many times a council member or mayor can run consecutively before they have to stop running. And so the discussion was, is that 2 terms and then you sit out for 2 more terms and then you can come back and run additional 2 terms? Because right now, any mayor candidate or city council candidate can run as many times as they want, can serve as many terms as they want.
Yeah, I
That
was
makes
talking
sense.
to a gentleman outside, so I didn't hear it. So how long term do you guys want to run for? How long are you gonna make it? 3 years, 4 years, or what's the answer?
So the current terms is council members serve for 4 years.
4 years?
And the mayor serves for 2 years. Yeah. So with the proposed term limits, then a council member can serve a total of 8 years, so 2 terms,
Right.
2 4-year terms, and the mayor can serve a total of 4 years, 2 2-year terms. That's the proposal right now. Mhm.
But we got the right to say, keep to the current 2 terms and, 2 years and 4, right? Because if we're gonna replace you, it's gonna take a long time to replace you if you don't do the job that you're supposed to do for the city. And if the city chief can be replaced, the city manager, the attorney, and how come you guys want to stay in power? That's what I'm questioning. So what are you guys up to? You know, I'm questioning that because I'm a concerned citizen. And I want to know straight answer. So you're trying to make it 8, from 4 to 8, and from 2 to 4, and then.
No, there's no term limits right now.
No, okay.
Yes.
So I'm confused a little bit because I barely came in. but
Yeah, I think
will
you're on the same
investigate
page.
and find out, yeah.
You're on the same page as what the
Okay,
council is
okay.
proposing. Yeah, they want to limit how much time they can be
Oh,
on the council.
Okay, okay. So I just wanted to find the answer because I'm gonna investigate that and see what's going on, because I'm not too happy with the job that's being done in the city, the streets, and it doesn't look good, and I started investigating and I will.
Thanks very much for your comments. That's it.
Okay, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Teresa Salas, 1701 Daniel Avenue. I am in favor of term limits. I think that we have a really big community, and if we get the same people on the council for an extended period of time, people get discouraged. It's like, oh, well, he's going to win anyway, or he's, that person's already been on there for a long time. I think if you're kind of forcing the voters to choose between some new people getting new ideas, I think that would be a good thing. Because, I look at the ballot and I was like, okay, that guy, oh, he's been there already. I do this with the state too. Oh, they're an incumbent. They know what they're doing. And I vote for them. But if there is no incumbent, it forces me to do my homework and to find out who these people are and maybe get some new blood and some new vision into the community. So I think that's good. As far as the commissions are concerned, those are volunteers. Those are people who want to be involved in the community, and then their application goes to you and you have the final say so in who is on those committees, on who's on those commissions. So I may want to be on the planning commission indefinitely, but when my term is up, I have to resubmit my application. It goes before the council, and then you guys would have to vote whether I'm reappointed onto that commission again. So saying that there's term limits for the commissions, you hold that power to reinstate someone or not. So there are lots of commissions right now that they're not full because nobody's volunteering. So if you're putting more stipulations on those volunteers, I think you're going to lose people rather than encourage people to volunteer in the community.
Thank you. Ms. Salas, you made the gentleman's argument for him, because what he said was if I understand him correctly, he went a little bit deeper than what we were looking at. And he said, what are you guys trying to do here in terms of limiting what we can select? And it comes back to the voters being able to select. Maybe they want the same mayor for 12 years. Maybe they want the same council members for 16 years. Should it be up to the people? Just like you're saying, it should be up to the council members to select the commission members. It shouldn't be up to an arbitrary time limit. So I could see that as well. I think that's a very interesting argument that you bring up. That was very interesting. And that's why some voters have rejected term limits, because they've said, we'll put the term limits on, not you. If we think they're doing a good job and they want to run, we'll keep them running. And if they don't, we want them out of here. My 2 cents. Anybody else? Anybody on the phone or online? With that, we will bring the matter back. And is this a consensus or a vote?
Yeah, I mean, either way, I need a consensus in order to move forward.
I'll make a motion. Let's go term. I'll make a motion.
Do you want to specify the term?
No, we'll do that at a different meeting to specify.
So what is your motion?
To go term.
And we won't set the
And then
terms
we'll set,
until.
yeah, we have time, right? Because she's gonna need time to put it.
I mean, we have time, but I can't prepare the resolution without you guys giving me the term limits that you want to put in there. But I mean, we don't have to decide tonight. I mean, we could have another future study session on it on whether to proceed, but we do, if we are going to proceed from tonight, I would need direction on actual term limits.
I would make a motion with the terms.
So you're amending the
Propose,
motion?
yeah. Amending it.
But she made the motion, so I guess you vote on yours, I guess. How would you do
Can
that?
she amend the motion?
She can if she would like to.
Are you amending the motion with terms? And what are those terms?
I will amend the motion to go ahead and vote with the terms set up already.
That you proposed. That you're proposing, which is the
Yes.
two terms for council and sit out, and 2 terms for mayor and sit out.
That's 2 terms for council to be on and then 2 terms off. And that's 2 terms for the mayor and 2 terms off. That's what they're saying.
And we don't know if that's an in-depth,
No,
we
we
don't
put-
have
but
that
she's
down yet.
proposing
She's
it.
gonna look at that. That's gonna be part of the next meeting. Got it. Is
That would be my motion.
there a second?
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. All right, with that, we'll go to departmental reports. City manager?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Nothing to report except that I was in attendance at Bob Allen's memorial service this weekend. It was a very well attended and very just beautiful remembrance of Mr. Allen. Thank you.
Thank you. City attorney,
Nothing to report.
Deputy City Manager Keen.
I'd like to thank the public as well as council and the planning commission for the workshop we had last Thursday. Staff garnered a lot of good information and feedback that will bring forth to the eventual adoption of objective design standards.
Thank you. Thank you for taking us through that with our Rincon consultant too. Really appreciate it. Community Services Director, Amy Smart.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I did want to give an update and a quick shout out to our Public Works Department. If you guys are aware, we've had frequent issues at the bathrooms at Lincoln Park due to some sewer issues. I don't want to get too technical because I don't understand it either, but what they did is they went in and they worked with Joel Fedor from Fedor Plumbing, and they were able to replace the sewer lines over there at Lincoln Park. And hopefully the goal is to alleviate a lot of the issues that we've had in the bathrooms with them backing up and things like that. So I just, again, want to give Public Works the kudos for that, because again, these are proactive things that they're doing. Realizing that a Band-Aid isn't always the answer. We really need to go in and fix the problem. So great job, guys, on that. Also, I want to give them some shout outs. They've been doing a lot of cleanup at Pioneer Village, cleaning up the trees, just doing a lot of work over there. So I do appreciate their extra effort there for us. And then this week we have an opening on the 22nd for Mean Girls at the Selma Arts Center. So if you guys have an opportunity, please go check that out. I know that it's going to be super exciting. And as we heard earlier, we had every year we host a senior resource fair at the senior center. And this year we had a date planned and that was on October 20th. However, we did get a call from oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. Yes, thank you. He had asked that, or his office had asked if they could host a resource fair as well. And it happened to be the day before. So we went ahead and we were merging teams to create a resource fair for our community over at the senior center. So that'll be October 19th. You guys should be getting some more information on that, flyers and all of that sort of stuff. So a great partnership, and we really appreciate that they would want to host something here for our community members. I think anytime we can collaborate, it just makes everything a little bit better. So that is all I have for you today. I hope you guys have a great night.
Thanks very much, Fire Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The only thing I have to report is that our Fire Marshal Anthony Rivas is up on an incident in the state of Washington. So he's a couple states away on his incident management team. And other than that, just very busy with command staff getting caught up to speed.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Right. City Clerk, Public Information Officer.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the public. So just update on a couple of our projects that we have. We received information regarding the Golden State Boulevard project that the roadway grind and pave is scheduled to start on Wednesday. They'll be starting at Manning and progressing north, and that will be followed by a paving process, which will start on is expected to start on September 25th. So that whole phase of the grind and pave should take about 10 to 15 working days. So they hope that by the end of October, or it is anticipated that by the end of October, all of the paving is scheduled to be completed. So that's 14.5 miles of paving should be completed by the end of October. So we understand the concerns that the public has had, but both our partners at the county and their contractors and subcontractors have been mitigating the concerns that they have heard from all three cities and from the businesses. So we appreciate them so much. The Alphabet Streets Road Improvement Project is moving along with a estimated completion date of October 27th. And the Downtown Central Business District ADA Sidewalk and Ramp Improvement Project that was discussed. I don't know if everyone has had a chance to see the fact that the contractors have been working and heard our concerns and have accommodated the merchants and some events. So they have worked on some Saturdays and began as early as 4 a.m. on some days. So we really appreciate the contractors that have been working downtown. Lastly, the Freeway Caltrans project is in their current paving. They've started the paving today, and they are anticipated to start the next paving process, which I have learned to be one type of paving is for the on and off ramps, and the other type of paving is for the actual freeway. So a lot of information to understand, but the positives is that they are moving forward, and they are anticipated as soon as the paving is cured and they're moving forward, they will finish this stage of the construction and move to the next one. So just moving forward. That's all I have.
Thank you. Police Chief Alcaraz.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. That's loud. So I apologize, I wasn't here last few council meetings, but training has taken me away. So I'll make this quick. We have so we have assigned Corey Lynch as a new school resource officer. Hopefully that works. And so we're extremely excited to have two SROs now at our schools, and both of them are extremely busy. So just in time. I think they're doing some great things over there, and we're super proud to have two SROs at our school sites. Secondly, National Night Out is scheduled for Tuesday, October 3rd, between 5 and 8 p.m. at Lincoln Park. I want to thank Amy Smart and all of the fire department and all of our team, our public works team, as we plan for this big event. So we're super excited about that. And again, that's Tuesday, October 3rd, between 5 and 8 p.m. at Lincoln Park. And lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention what a great job our personnel are doing. On August 28th, 2023, at about 7 a.m., we had a robbery in the 2100 block of First Street. Officers quickly arrived on scene, contained the area, and were able to locate 3 suspects who were identified involved in that crime and recover numerous firearms, making the streets of Selma safer. Additionally, today they responded to a call for service. And during their investigation, they recovered 2 firearms, 1 stolen. And I won't make more mention of that because that's an ongoing investigation. But again, just to the credit of our personnel, they're doing some very in-depth investigations, and it's paying out in a big way. So I just like to shout out to them and thank them for their hard work.
And if I can add to Chief's update on Thursday, the Fresno County Board of Supervisors will be honoring Officer Gonzalo Carrasco at the State of the County luncheon at, I believe, 11 o'clock at the, is it Convention Center? And so I know the council was invited, and department heads are going to be attending as well. And Gonzalo's family will be in attendance to receive the award for Public Safety Hero of the Year.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you.
And as far as the Public Works Department update, we do have a video to show with regard to the Barbara Street reconstruction project. And that is all we have from Public Works.
Thanks, City Manager. Put your Public Works Director hat back on just for a second.
Sure.
In terms of the McCall and Dinuba traffic signal,
Mhm.
what are we looking at for that?
Great question. We just were discussing that earlier. The progress update we received from Gateway Engineering is that they're about 60% done on the design of the signal. But Deputy City Manager, if you have further updates.
As previously been discussed, and I believe the city engineer is still on the call as well, so he can fill in maybe wherever I miss out. The environmental review process with Caltrans is extensive, and that's typically where projects such as this get caught up. So we're still going through the environmental review process with Caltrans. The design is still working through the progress. As the city manager talked about, we're about 60% through the process with Gateway. But it's the environmental process with Caltrans that typically holds up these type of projects. So we're progressing through, but as we've talked about, when there's other agencies involved, it can take some time.
Got it. So I believe this Council of Governments, City of Selma is the lead agency, but the funding is through the FTIP, the Federal Transportation Improvement Program, and they've got it on their spreadsheet to finish construction in the 23-24 fiscal year, meaning I believe by 7/1/24. Is that reasonable?
I believe that's still reasonable.
Is it doable even with Caltrans review?
With the Caltrans review, yeah, because their review is not going to be as extensive as, like, say, an encroachment permit on Highland and Floral. So I do think that we're still on track for that date.
Good news, because a lot of people ask about that all the time. Great, thanks very much. That will move on to council reports. Councilmember Mendoza Navarro.
I just have a couple things. I attended the Bringing Back Broken Neighborhoods. And they also had the 9/11 celebration over at the Lincoln Park. And through my work, I'm excited that I'm able to work on or be on committees with the homeless now. So I attended a Fresno Madera Continuum of Care meeting, and they did talk about medical renewal. They had a presentation for medical renewals. I'll have to get more information and I'll send it out to Reina so that, because they do have a webinar on October 3rd from 12:30 to 2, and it's basically how do you renew your Medi-Cal benefits, and it's more geared toward people that are homeless. So that's where they're really gearing it to. And then just one thing, I noticed the street signs coming in onto downtown. They have street signs and they have our little city logo. Are those the new signs, or have always been there and I just didn't notice?
For the downtown area, Second Street, those have always been there.
I just didn't
Yeah,
notice.
if I'm not mistaken.
Guess with the
I'll have
trees
to verify
gone.
because I don't think they've changed those at all. Yeah.
Oh, I guess with the streets, with the trees gone, I think I noticed it more. So,
Yeah.
but they look very nice. So that was it. Thank you.
Councilmember Trio.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for the car show. You guys did a really good job. It was a nice outgoing. It looked good. Good barbecue. I also attended Bob Allen's service. It was kind of different. It was a service, and one of the things that I got out of that was how many clubs he was in, and it made me really realize that that we as leaders in our community, we have to it's like next man up, and you got to ask yourself, what can you do to follow Bob's footsteps, because all the committees that he was in, and I thought I knew all of them, but they came up with a lot, and I really want everyone to know that he will be missed, and for all the work, and the time when I met him to where we're at. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands the importance of Bob being missed. Second or third was the planning commission and the city council met last week, and I really want to give thanks to the city staff. They navigated it to a point where even if some of our council members did not understand what we were being asked to do, we formulated some kind of idea to give our staff, because the true understanding of the growth of our community and understanding where we want to, the definition of our community starts with the leaders. And sometimes we're embarrassed to say that I don't really know what you're talking about, but it was really good because I even said it that last week. What are we talking about, right? Laughing, voting. But in reality, and I'll take it and I'll say this, as I was walking from my restaurant to the car show, I actually took pictures of the mayor's building and Mr. What's the name? Parmender's building. And then I went to the opposite, took pictures of that. And I started telling myself as I had a conversation with city manager this morning, and it made me really start thinking about what you're talking about, what we can do to better our community. So I really want to thank staff for the presentation, because that presentation didn't do nothing but give council an opportunity to expand its memory, or imagine and start thinking the what ifs. What if we do this? What if we do that? So for that, I thank you. Another one is, the project for downtown, I really want to give a shout out to RG Berry, not because my brother-in-law was managing a project, but because of the fact that they were there Saturday morning at 4 a.m. They were there every day at 4 a.m. They're walking it. And really the community was, they were accepting it. And I'll say that because they had my front door. There was only 1 foot of the restaurant, and people were walking in and out. We were still busy. So it was good the way they handled it. I really want to, give a shout out to RG Berry for what they've done for downtown. They're still not done, but they did a fairly good job. And lastly, I want to thank the city manager. I was able to look at what the email you sent in regards to the letter you read to the SKF board, but I also want to, not only do I want to thank you, but I want to enter it into our city council's records. And Reina, if you can accept this, and you don't need to read it, but if we can just enter it in the record. I think it's really important that, as what our city manager went out and read a statement in regards to what the council is, what I want to bring back to the city council, and I want to bring back something to define what we, the council, do. We're an elected body. The mayor has the right to appoint himself to go represent the city, but he has not the right to go and talk on behalf of himself. I want the city council as to a majority to understand that our representation means everything. when we have representation and one of us is elected to go represent the city of Selma, you're not representing yourself. You're actually being told or being asked to represent the city as a whole. So from here on out, when we go back and we have discussions to SKF board, LAVCO, 5 cities, I want everyone to understand that we're not representing ourselves. We're actually representing the city of Selma, and we're representing what the majority is asking, because that's the direction the city council wants to go. So I thank you for everything. And I want to thank staff. You guys have been doing tremendous job. What we've been going through, what the change and what we've been doing. One thing our city, we have a sit down meeting, me and the city manager. And one thing I told him this morning was, hey, your staff doing a good job is a double-edged sword. And what I mean by that is this: the more good you do, the more developers are going to come to this community. And you guys all know this because I'm getting so many calls, and they're big people. So I want to commend you guys. I want you guys to know that keep on doing the work, because it's being told. It is, and it's out there in our community. So thank you.
Councilmember Guerra.
Okay, I just keep it short. I just too want to thank everyone. I think our entire staff is doing a great job, and the car show was great this weekend. I got a lot of great feedback, so that was nice. They kind of wish it was a little longer, but you know, that it is what it is. And those are the good things, you know, those are, hey, next year we do something bigger and better. You know, that's just how we do it. But the other thing is, I just want to run a couple of things by, because I get this quite a bit with people complaining about our code enforcer going to certain places and holding certain businesses accountable for certain things. And then you go and they tell me, go look at PG&E's building. That thing is an eyesore. It's disgusting. The weeds are about 5 feet tall. And why that's something that you first come in and you do see that. And it is an eyesore. I didn't realize it until they brought it to my attention. And I have to agree, you know, if you're going to tell someone they got 2 weeds on the side of their building, but you're not going to tell PG&E to clean up their whole area. I mean, that is really bad, especially when we have Marty Lynch's church right next to it that keeps his immaculately clean. So city manager, if there's something we could do about that, I really appreciate it. I just needed to address that.
Will do.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho.
Yes. First, I'd like to thank all the staff for working always so hard for our city. Because we, you know, sometimes you guys don't get the kudos, but you do from me for sure. Also, thank you, Deputy CM, for that workshop, because this is kind of exciting to see possibility of what Selma could look like in the future. And that's a really neat thing there. I worked the car show and the barbecue tri-tip this weekend. It was really good. We had like 13 competitors and the meat was great. We got a bracelet and you tried them all. There's no way you went home hungry at all. It was really good. And that's the only thing is I did miss Mr. Bob Allen's service, but we definitely will miss him. On a personal note, one weekend, Parlier Lions did a motorcycle poker run. And it was so much fun. I didn't drive one, but I did have a friend that had one. So we went like 150 miles. And so each spot you went to, you go to 5 spots, you get a card. And I won the poker run. So that was pretty cool. And then also our fight is coming on October 7th. We do have a fight. We have one with the officer. Corey's going to continue his title, and he's going to go against EMT Travis from the fire department. So hopefully you guys all go out and support them. Okay, thank you.
Brings me back to my days as a junior welterweight fighter in college. Love those days. Some of these council meetings remind me of those days. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you to Jackson School for the invitation to discuss government to second graders. It was great to do that. The chief of police was also there, and that was very nice to see him giving of his very valuable time, and time that he definitely doesn't have to spare, but he did devote to the kids, and really appreciate him doing that. So they like the police and they trust the police and they got to listen to the governmental process as well. Tomorrow, I'm meeting along with the Mayor Pro Tem Cho with Senator Caballero. She's going to be here at 4 o'clock at City Hall. If any council or anybody from the public has any questions or anything they would like me to bring up, we have a pretty tight agenda. She's given us 30 minutes. So we're going to talk fast and try to get everything in. But got a specific list of concerns we'd like to talk about. Public safety is always number one. Body cams always number one. Commercial building, commercial development. We heard that tonight. Very good. And then finally, yes, I did attend the SKF meeting last week where I served as chair because the chair was out of town. And I did hear the Selma city manager come, as the city manager was directed by the three on the council to come to the SKF, and the city manager did deliver the words to the effect that the city does not have plans to leave SKF. This is after Councilman Trujillo said that he would like the city to develop plans to leave SKF. So that was reversed by the city manager at SKF, and I did listen to that. And that was put out on the record there. So that was that meeting, and that's it. With that, we will conclude our council member reports, and we don't have oral communication, so we will adjourn. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Appreciate it.